start. There we go. All right, we're live. All right, I'm really excited to have listen, I've watched these two for years, and I'm really excited to talk to them in person, virtually. We've got Emily and Aaron Reeves, and Flying Sparks Garage. They've got a great channel where they do everything from automotive to marine. That includes, we were just talking 20 plus cars thereabouts, right? Everything from a 57 Chevy to Emily's GTO to an old Benz. Yeah, to the Datsun. And basically what I love about your show is that it's anything with an engine, right? That's the basic lowest bar, but it's not just building, it's adventures. So thrilled to have you. Thanks for joining us. Let's just get right into it.
Grateful to be here, Naveed.
Thrilled. Awesome. Well, you guys are in Texas right now, right?
We are. That is home for us.
So is it true? I've heard that actually when Aaron's not on camera, he speaks with a British accent. Is that correct?
in my dreams.
Right. Yeah.
All the Texas thing is all up front, right?
Yeah.
It's not real.
No, we're really Australian.
Well, you do the GTO. So, anyway, I mean, that would track, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we said you had 20 cars. That's about right. How many years have you guys been doing this in terms of YouTube world? When did you start?
So the car hobbies, it's been all the years.
Yeah.
We got together when Emily was, I'm going to say 15. She was really 14, but she was about to turn 15 when I was 17.
Good start.
And I'm this gearhead that is just, I can't get it out of my system. And so she realized pretty early on, if she wanted to spend time with me, it was going to be in the shop. So she got involved, and I would say she's probably more enthused than I am now about it because I've been doing it for 25 years. But yeah, that's where that started. The YouTube channel, that was about 10 years ago. Is that right?
Yeah. March was 10 years.
Yeah.
It was 2015 when we started it.
Yeah, 10 years. So Emily's background is modeling and acting, on camera personality, and my background is diesel repair. So I'm a third generation diesel mechanic, building heavy diesel engines. And at some point I realized that was not going to be what I wanted to do my entire career, because it's very hard on your body. It beats you up, and it's just a tough job. The industry changed, technology was coming up, and I wasn't that interested in becoming a computer science engineer, I guess. So I was looking for a way out. We were realizing with her business, kind of the next phases was to go out to California and do the acting thing big time. And so we just kind of merged them and started YouTube.
And it's been a hell of a journey, right? So you've 20 cars. Have you driven coast to coast? I'm sure a few times. If you put it end to end, north, south.
We usually, when we do a build, we will build it for an event where we drive a lot. So Hot Rod Power Tour, we actually did that event for our honeymoon back in 2007. Wild. And so we've done that event, a dozen times probably over the years. And usually it starts 1,000 or 2,000 miles away from home. So we build stuff to drive it. And then we work the kinks out as we drive it. We don't build show cars to sit and look beautiful. We build stuff to drive. Even our car Zen, that was his first car. We built it for Power Tour and drove it, and it was our 10-year wedding anniversary on Power Tour. So it's really special because that's the car we dated in. But it was at SEMA. It's kind of it could be considered like a show car, but man, she's a driver.
So one of the things that always strikes me about car YouTube is that, and it's the same thing with even things we do. There are things that I want to do, but I'm not so sure the audience wants to see that. Do you struggle with that? Because I think that there are probably cars out there that you would love to do something with, but
for sure.
Maybe you wonder it's not going to be something that tracks on YouTube. How do you decide?
It is hard to decide. The goal would be to find that happy medium where it's something that we're excited about, but also the audience is excited about. Because we're pretty simple gearheads. We can get excited about just about anything that we can spin wrenches on. But there are some cars that the audience just doesn't want to see. I've got a 1991 Nissan 300ZX twin turbo. Yeah. Big car for me because I started out in a Datsun 280Z. And this one we bought, it was a family friend. He bought it new. And he was, he's an aging gentleman. And so I told him at some point, hey, if you ever want to get rid of that, I'm your guy. Well, the call finally came. We got it. And people aren't watching it. So it's like I could completely restore it, but it's really something I have to do on the weekends.
Yeah,
I don't have. We work all the time.
of course.
And so it is a project that's kind of gotten shelved to some degree because we don't get views. And I mean, that's how we pay our bills. So there are those projects out there. But I would say in large part, we do whatever we want to do. If you want to watch it, cool. If you don't, that's cool too.
Well, okay. So, but is there something that surprised you in the sense that it's a car that you didn't expect the audience would react like they did, or an event?
Yes. It's not a car at all. It's a semi-truck. We just got a Peterbilt, a 1984 359 Peterbilt. And we wanted it because we were looking at dualies. We wanted a bigger truck to pull our race trailer with. It's a big enclosed. And we were looking at dualies and we were like, man, we don't want to spend that money. Like, for what we want, we don't want to spend that money.
Expensive, and there's a lot of technology in them. So I have to go to another mechanic to get fixed.
And so we were out at his dad's place where he grew up wrenching on big trucks. And there was a truck out there that just looked just crappy enough for us. Like it was sitting there and I was like, what's the story on that one? And his dad was like, oh, that's old Bob Berry's truck and it's got a locked up engine. And I'm like, well, is it for sale? Like, can we buy it? And it was $5,000 with a locked up engine, really terrible patina where they had tried to strip the paint off, but been lazy, or however that unfolded 20 years ago when they decided they wanted to paint it. But I loved it. It just had a presence. And Aaron was like, Emily, that's my favorite year model truck. Like a 359 is a classic. And it's the year he was born, 84. So we bought it. And that first video, I think it's sitting at like 700,000 views. Like,
wow.
And people love it. People are like, we're tired of seeing perfect restorations or just muscle cars. This is uncommon and it's like really badass, but in a different way.
Yeah.
People are learning from his expertise on the, old diesels.
Yeah, it's been very interesting.
Really cool.
The response has been really cool because I do that stuff so naturally. Like it's just part of who I am. People can see it. It's like they can see that I'm in a better mood because I'm not thinking. I'm just out there having fun doing it. And that's been pretty surprising because with these cars, it's like, yes, I'm a mechanic and I've been doing it my whole life. But anytime we build a car, it's new to me. So I'm trying to learn what I can and then teach that to Emily while also trying to make at least some sense to the audience. And so there's a certain amount of pensiveness in it. Yeah. But with the truck, it's just like I know it so well that I'm just in a better mood, apparently. The audience notices it.
Everybody was in the comment section like, man, it's so cool to see Aaron like this. I'm like, right?
Yeah, to be honest, Aaron, I don't know what the difference between happy Aaron and angry Aaron. And it's like, you're pretty consistent.
Well, that's the goal.
But I mean, like, I got to say, watching your niece and Emily do the inside, and they're like, oh, it's just a little dirty here in the background. I'm like, oh my God. I want to wash my hands just watching you tear apart the inside of that sleeve. Yeah. No, listen, I will say, I like to watch a lot of different YouTube things. I cannot think of a car channel that has done, a truck like this. I mean, it's right. I think that when it comes to YouTube, everything starts to kind of blend together, right? Like you'll notice that some of the big car YouTubers, one will get this car, and then suddenly the 2 or 3 will get the exact same car they're restoring. I don't know if it's like planned or if they're trying to ride the wave, but I think there's always an interest in something that is the non-standard, right? So
it's all very interesting because if we did the trendy stuff, our channel would be a lot bigger than it is. 10 years for 340,000 subscribers, average views, let's say 100 to 200,000. We should be a lot further along than that. We started the channel as a car channel and then pretty quickly realized that we want a channel where we do what we enjoy. Yeah. Because it's a long game for us. We're not here to make a bunch of money and get the views and then bounce. Like this is our lifestyle. So our channel tends to, we at least look at it as a lifestyle channel. Yeah. So if we're working on a boat, we're going to film that. If we're working on a house, we're going to film that. And that's just a thing. It's a mechanism that we use just to stay in the zone, continue to enjoy the process, and use this as a long-term journey for us.
No, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It's funny, Aaron, you say this because I've had this conversation quite a bit over the last, say, 6 to 12 months. But, I think previously people would, if you're on YouTube, they kind of look down at you. And, it's sort of like, oh, you couldn't make it on, terrestrial television. So you're doing YouTube. But
Maybe
I actually,
someday you'll get a TV show.
yeah. Oh, it's so sweet that you're trying. Bless your heart. Right. Yeah. It's like, actually, I don't know. YouTube, it's 3 billion people. It's actually, you're doing stuff, what, once a week? You're releasing episodes pretty much weekly or bi-weekly. That's a pretty aggressive schedule. We kind of follow a TV schedule. We try to do 80 a year, and that's freaking hard. So I don't think people understand or appreciate the level of skill that goes into this. You don't just film and then just drop it as an episode. There's a tremendous amount of editing that goes into.
Yeah, we're constantly getting comments about how lucky we are that we can just do whatever we want. And just a quick example. It was 1:30 last night, and I was like, Emily, we got to go to bed. Like, we have stuff to do tomorrow.
Yeah, it's work.
She was editing.
I completely feel that. I tell people, it's like everything about my job, like when we film and we get to do great stuff, it's the best, but everything else sucks because it's budget. It's work. That's right. And I think,
and if you want to do it for a living, you kind of have to have a business mind. I mean, you can look at just the one revenue source, which is YouTube AdSense. But if you have a business mind about it, you can do it and work with brands that you love.
Sure.
And you can do hosting jobs, and you can really diversify and become like more of a brand instead of just videos on the internet. And that's really what we've worked to do, because for us, like working with brands like CRC and, Scott Towels and O'Reilly Auto Parts and Peak Auto, like that is such a compliment to have a big company like that say, hey, we have marketing dollars and you guys, people like y'all. People want to see what you're doing, and they're inspired to buy things because you are associated. And that means a whole lot. Talking to people about YouTube and they're like, oh, I want to do videos. I want to make videos. I'm like, do it. Start making videos. Yeah. But don't look at it as a hobby if you want to actually do it. Don't cross your fingers that it's going to work. Be diligent.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Just freaking keep doing it until you find ways to make it work. And hit me up later when you have more questions, because if you try to do it, it's a lot of work.
It is. Look, I don't know any of these. A simple way to put it. It's a job, right?
Yes.
I mean,
it's running a business.
It is. That's right.
It's like 3 or 4 jobs in one, actually, if we want to be honest.
You hear all the time, it's like, find something you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life. That's not true. The reality is, any business, no matter, I don't care how passionate you are about the subject, any business has about 80% of stuff that you don't want to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And that you may need to hire other people to do. It's just,
but still, that's work. It's just, it's still work, just different types of work. You're not managing people. There's
still paperwork, and there's still cleaning up the mess after you build a car. Like it's just, that's the reality of life.
Yeah. I mean, and look, we start off by you guys talking about how you choose what you want to do, but obviously there's a business. You're incredibly savvy business people, right? You've taken a channel. You're able to not only just do things that people want to watch, but it's your livelihood. You've got brand deals. Do you think that YouTube, have you seen, since you've been doing this for 10 years, have you seen a pivot from like sponsors and big companies towards YouTube? I mean, it's something we're seeing. I'm just wondering what your experience with that has been.
It's actually really interesting to watch, because we have our friends right now that, Freiberger and Finnegan had Roadkill for years on Motor Trend, and they were literal employees of a machine. And, companies like CRC and JEGS and, all of those companies were spending marketing dollars on these huge companies. Like, well, then it was, a different brand. Later it was Warner Brothers, and then Discovery, and then all the things. But Freiberger and Finnegan never really saw the fruits of their labor as far as like brand deals came, Yeah. But then when we met them, it was 2015 on Power Tour. And I started saying, I'm going to be doing this YouTube stuff. And like, this would be really cool for y'all to do. Well, they were in contracts. They were working with companies like CRC and like, Summit and all those companies, but it was really through the machine. But now that the machine, like Motor Trend has, changed so much, stopped all of that programming, or like stopped a portion of it. It's not totally stopped, but these guys are really liberated. Finnegan started his channel a while back, but Freiberger has just recently liberated and kind of had to shift his whole, like he's not an employee anymore. Creator, business owner doing the things. And right now they're on a road trip in their Datsun, the Roxen. And they're doing the partnership with WireCare, one of our wiring companies, and CRC. And it's so cool because CRC now, they're like, oh, I get to invest in these individuals instead of big mass companies. And so I'm sure that the marketing dollar investment is different. That way they can spread it out over a whole bunch of us. So for brands and the creators, it's all changing. And it's really freaking awesome.
When we first started this, it was really nobody was giving out money.
Yeah.
You could get some parts and things like that. And I've watched Emily over the last 10 years. It has literally been a process of educating companies to invest in people like us. Partially because, I mean, a lot of creators really screwed things up, to put it lightly. They didn't deliver.
They're not business
and they're not business-minded people. They're the ones that just want to hold the camera and do something cool. So it's been this long process of like literally educating companies into investing. And the cool thing, it's like if you invest an ad on a TV show, it's this number. Well, you can cut that down and give 10% of that to a creator, and that makes a big difference in their life.
So
like that pays the bills.
Totally. And you know what's interesting about that? So I can tell you guys now, it was funny right before everything happened with Freiberger and like everything with Motor Trend. We were in discussions with Motor Trend. I was talking to he's no longer there. He actually left. He's now at QVC, but the CEO of Motor Trend. And we were talking about YouTube, and we were actually working with them. This would have been really cool to do an event where we would take automotive journalists and like pit them against military and veteran journalists and do some sort of competition. Unfortunately, they all, everything kind of fell apart over there before we could kind of put this together. But the one thing I can say to your point, Aaron, like just getting a chance to peek under the hood about how, Freiberger, like not Freiberger per se, but like that whole thing, like the size of the crew, the size of the, the post-production, it was a huge, huge amount of spend that they had to put to it.
Yes.
So when you think about YouTube, right, the expectation is like, you got to have good audio. You got to have good video. And that's not cheap. That's not nothing. So it's sort of like, I feel, at least even with YouTube, the audience has an expectation that the content and the storytelling is at the same caliber as you would see on, Motor Trend, on, Hot Rod Garage, or any like these types of things. Like they want to see that same production quality, right?
Yeah.
We have a tiny budget. I'm sure you guys do. We are always struggling. I'm sure it's the same thing. Again, how do you balance that? Because I think that, we've seen this where if your production quality is honestly junk, you don't get views. People, if they can't hear what you're saying, they don't watch it. I know it sounds super simple, but so how do you do that? You guys are a 2-person operation. You've got to not just come up with good stories, but you've got it to that point. You've got to have a pretty decent production quality. Your stuff is it's not like it's like a shaky camera, like vlog style, right?
Well, it is a balance, honestly, because we really try to be relatable with the way that we film things, and the way we talk to the camera. We're not trying to be like professional presenters on a car show. We're not like a garage squad that's going to go in, boom, one episode, it's going to be all done. Oh my gosh, look at this car. We're honest with people. I hope the rain is okay. It just started raining.
We can't even hear it. Yeah, you're fine.
It sounds lovely, but hopefully the audio doesn't get bad. Speaking of
real life, man, that's what this is.
But one thing that we have seen is that if we find the balance in like being really raw and honest with our content and just the process of kind of going and saying, hey, sorry, it's windy out here. Like there's only so much you can control.
It's managing expectations to some degree. When you look your audience in the eye and say, hey, this is frustrating me too. Like this light that's coming through, I can't see what I'm doing either. Sorry about that. We'll try to get a better shot.
Yeah.
When we take that approach, it disarms a lot of people. And so it makes them kind of on your team.
They want to see something real, right?
Relatable.
They want to see,
Yeah.
And Absolutely. Again, like we have this thing that we say, it's like our show is authentic, organic, and unscripted. But that's like the style. But the
Yeah,
reality is
absolutely.
it's anything but. Like, it's just a tremendous amount of work to do this.
Mhm.
You know, I think that's the thing, and it's like Tony Angelo, like he always has the saying, like, we're gonna lose the shop, right? Like the fictitious drama that people
Right, people
insert,
are
like,
sick of it.
yeah, it's just people
Well,
don't
there's
want
a
to.
certain demographic that's sick of it. There's a demographic
Yeah,
that loves those TV shows, and that's
yeah, for sure.
totally
Listen,
understandable.
yeah,
And those producers and directors and all those people work really hard to make those
yeah,
shows. So there's a place for it. But
there are people that like mayonnaise on hamburgers. Who am I to
yeah,
judge?
Right. Exactly.
It's big in
takes all of
Canada. Yeah,
yeah,
but like
exactly.
I think YouTube, you know, you have a younger demographic, right? I mean, I think that's who's watching this, and you know, I'm sure like your niece, like I have two teens, and they'll look at stuff and they can just smell BS. They can
Yep.
tell when it's just not real. They're like, that's not real,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they don't tune into that. So I think going to you guys, the thing that I've always been impressed by is that you're right. You're absolutely relatable. You have interesting things that are, you're not talking down to anyone. You're not making it seem like
We're an
you seem
expert.
very, yeah, but you are, right. You are, I know, like Aaron is a legitimate, you know, diesel engineer mechanic, right? So you do things, you make it look easy, you make it look approachable, but you're not like, we've got this car that's folded into this, and it's done. Like, come on, no one believes that that's like, we actually, you know, it's an approachable show. And I know the production quality that goes into it is not easy. And yet the end product is you have this show that, again, I would just, you're approachable. You seem incredibly relatable. And I think that there's a lot of thing, you know, I was reading an article today actually about YouTube and influencers and how, you know, with tariffs and the economy, there's a little bit of a backlash about the traditional influencer who's all about like money and lifestyle in the like over the top way, right? People don't want to see about you driving the $500,000 McLaren. I don't know. That's not, I think it's cooler that you're working on a truck. Like that's, there's less of that on YouTube. You can search for McLaren. There's a million YouTubers that have McLarens.
Yeah.
True.
You know, I don't, that's not really planned for us.
Sure.
That's just who we are.
Of course.
Like we were broke kids, like way broke, and that mindset hasn't changed. I mean, we have our newest vehicle is 2022 Bronco. It's there because we need something reliable because we travel a lot. It's not because we're trying to be fancy and look a certain way, because that's just not who we are. And so our content, it comes out, I would guess that it comes out pretty humble and grassroots, but that's just because that's who we are.
You know, I think whatever it is, Aaron, it works. I mean, you have a pretty loyal following. And I mean, listen, again, I know you know this, but for people watching this, I just want to say, obviously, one of the toughest things to do is to take something and get across in the messaging and the storytelling that it's something you really want to do. I mean, Crystal, who's managing, can tell you when I do interviews, she can see it in my face when I'm just like, this is not something I'm interested in. There's like a little image of a little bear driving a car when this person, and it's really hard for me to fake it. I try, and I don't want to be but to do that, and like for it to come out is not an easy thing. So kudos to you, because I know it's really hard to film it. It's really hard to produce it. It's really hard to keep it consistently in every episode that you do, that you can tell that you want to be here. That's not an easy thing to do. So, I mean, I just want to give a shout out, because that's like,
oh, thank you.
And that's hard, and you guys kill it. You really do.
Yeah, we're learning.
Appreciate that.
You know, I'm a mechanic to my
Well,
root.
it works, man.
An introverted mechanic. And so when we were talking about production a minute ago, the brain immediately goes to got to have the best audio equipment, the camera and all that. Yeah. But that's a piece of it. We shoot a lot of our stuff with the iPhone because we got tired of the fancy cameras and trying to make everything work. The biggest modification is your person.
Yeah.
You know, projecting, getting comfortable, realizing that maybe I'm awkward on camera and that's something I need to do some work internally.
It's
even though
charming. You're not.
Well, I feel that. I'm telling you how I feel sometimes.
Yeah, I understand that.
And so I'll hold myself back or kind of hide in the corner. But that's the biggest thing is like, this is a skill set
Yeah.
to be able to communicate well. It's a skill set that a lot of people can benefit from. And so just take that as a challenge and try to be good at it.
I'll before we go to some of the questions that I have, there's a joke, Aaron. What's the difference between an introverted diesel mechanic and an extroverted diesel mechanic?
Yeah, don't know.
An extroverted diesel mechanic will look at your shoes when he talks to you.
Right. Exactly.
Come on, that was like my obligatory dad joke.
Yeah. Yep. That's pretty much it.
What kind of questions you got?
we got a couple of questions. All right. Who does a better burnout, Aaron or Emily?
Well,
really?
I have all of the equipment to do really kick-ass burnouts in Roxy with the line lock. Aaron is wild with his burnouts because, well, I don't know. Have you even done a line lock burnout in Roxy? I don't think.
No,
he doesn't like to drive Roxy because he doesn't want to break it, and it's my baby. But
Yeah.
I've done burnouts in his car, and it doesn't have a line lock or anything. It's just standard, and you got to, 3-pedal it, and it's really hard. But I guess historically it would be me. But if he got into Roxy, he'd probably be more ballsy and do a longer, more intense burnout.
So Emily is full send and Aaron is half send. That's not something I would have.
No, I'm actually pretty chill.
He's kind of a grandpa.
That I can believe, but I'm surprised that like. What else? Okay, so okay. We already covered this, but you've been doing this. You had YouTube for 10 years, but you started together. I mean, because you had a more traditional.
Well, this year will be 24 years together. We got together in 2001.
Wow.
What?
Wow, that's crazy. What has been the most challenging thing you guys have done? What are the most challenging things you guys have come up against?
Are we talking about cars or
There's
life?
So many
I'll leave it as broad as you want to answer it. You could talk about like taking that what is it, the center mount off off your truck to whatever else you want it to be.
Yeah, well, I'll be totally honest with you. The hardest thing is I'm a recovering alcoholic. So 3 years ago, I went through that process and have been working on sobriety ever since. That's been the toughest thing. It's been the toughest thing and the most powerful thing for our relationship.
Wow.
Because you think you know each other.
Yeah.
But something inevitably is going to come along that makes you realize you don't even know yourself.
Well, there you go. That's real, right? I mean, it's outside in front of the camera. You're real people with real lives, with real, just like everyone else.
Yep.
Again, I think this is what makes you so gosh darn relatable. All right, what else? We have, what is your favorite project? And by the way, a lot of people are congratulating you on that, Aaron. That is a very commendable thing, and you should be proud of that. And also, you know what? Like, as a veteran, I think it's also really important for people just mental health. It's like there's no shame in it, right? Like we talk about if you have a disease or a cancer, or, it's not your fault. It's just a thing that you should be able to talk about. So it's great that you're so willing to be open about that. That's a very important and positive thing, and it reinforces, I hope, people. So again,
it's huge.
It is indeed. So projects, is there a current, previous favorite project the two of you have, car-wise?
This one's mine.
Yeah.
This is the car we dated in, and for me, like, on many factors, it's the car we dated in. We built it for our 10-year wedding anniversary. Aaron had so many great ideas, like the stacked injection coming out of the hood. We built 180-degree headers for it, so it doesn't sound LS swapped. It sounds exotic and just sick. Cool. We just did a lot of cool stuff with the car. And in the walk-up factor, like, you can't go to a gas pump without someone coming to talk to you. Like, it is one of those cars that just draws you in.
Yep.
So this would be my favorite. Roxy behind that, which was my first car. Roxy was my first car. But yeah, this one is it for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's I have a love-hate relationship with that car because
he hates driving it.
When
always breaks on him.
I bought it when I was 16 and didn't have money to fix it. It fought me the whole time. We dumped a bunch of money into it, and it seems to just have this thing where it likes to fight me. but I love the car.
Is there to that? Is there something future dream build that you would want to have? And is there something you're looking, or is there a bucket list item that you guys want to do?
There is. So I'm a pilot,
Yeah.
and we fly, and so a bucket list. When it comes to cars, if we want it, we'll go buy it and work on it.
Business expense.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is. I would like to build an airplane at some point.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
There's a 3-year plan to make that happen?
Oh, of course. 3-year plan. That just sounds like that should be Aaron's nickname. I feel like.
Yeah.
Is there, besides a dream project, is there a dream route or trip that you want to take, or something that's coming up that hasn't been done yet? You haven't done yet.
Well, my favorite drive is the PCH. Highway 1.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And we did that a few years back, and it's an amazing trip. I feel like I could do that in every kind of vehicle. I would love to do it in a convertible. I'd love to do it in a truck where there's some off-roading. Big Sur is just incredible. I love that area of the world. But also I've been to Europe a couple of times, and Aaron never has. And so it wouldn't be a normal trip for us. I don't know if we would go buy some old Fiat or something and venture it through Italy. But I want to do a trip like that because I feel like Europe is so rich in history. It's
of course.
I don't know. I'm very drawn to being overseas and experiencing different cultures like that. And Aaron never has. And I want to do that with him. So someday we'll do a Euro trip. And,
that sounds exciting.
And I think that'll be amazing too.
Yeah, I'm excited about that trip.
That sounds really cool. I have to add 2 to you if you haven't done this yet. You got to do Alaska. You got to drive. That is one of the
Alaska
most
is on the list as well.
And one of the sort of secret places that I really enjoy is on the East Coast. Most people don't know about this, but it's West Virginia. So West Virginia has these beautiful, almost empty interstates that go through the mountains, and it's a landscape that I've never seen before. There is something about driving the United States, Europe, and all these other countries, totally different landscapes. But the United States has such different geography, no matter where you go.
Does.
And it's
totally right.
It's something you can't experience flying. Just driving is you see things that are just gorgeous. All right, we've got one for you, Emily. What advice would you want to give to young people, especially girls who want to get into engine mechanics or custom builds?
Well, I feel like we have resources at our fingertips. So watching videos, watching various types of learning, but also entertainment to get you stoked on it. Mm-hmm. But for me, there are always people in your environment that you could go and knock on a door and say, hey, can I sweep your floors? Can I scrape your gaskets? Will you teach me your ways? And there are literally people that would their heart would melt to have a young person, male or female, come in and say, hey, I want to learn your trade. I see value in it. There's machine shops, little neat machine shops all over the country that would absolutely love to have the younger generation come in and say, what you do is awesome. Will you teach me? And that is at our fingertips. So you can get a lot at home. You can learn a lot from the internet, which I totally support. But there are incredible people that have been nose to the grindstone, made an amazing living, have a passion for what they do, and it would mean so much to them to pass that on. Literally, a lot of those business owners don't have kids that give a crap about their business, and they would be like, what, a young person? If you show interest, you may end up with a business of your own from that person because they care that much about you caring. You just never know. So I would say, young woman, young man, go out there and find some mentors. It may not be the first shop you walk into, but there are mentors out there, real life people that are made amazing livings, are super passionate and knowledgeable, and it would just make their whole world to teach you. And you may even make a little money along the way.
It's funny. I shouldn't say it's funny, but again, over the last few years, I think the diversity of in. I remember looking at car stuff a decade ago. It was one type of person, and I think one of the things that I can appreciate now is that's just not the case, right? You have a
Right.
complete, and especially with women. I mean, I think of you. I think of Alex Taylor. You just on YouTube. There are a lot, and
Yeah.
they're serious. To me, they're not taken any less seriously than their male counterparts. Right? I mean, you guys
I
are
mean, you
Right.
always have the shit talkers. You're
of
always going
course,
to have
of
those.
course,
But honestly, as a woman coming into the trades, I have felt more support and encouragement than I have people disregarding me because I'm a female. I'm harder on myself than a lot of the haters.
yeah,
Honestly.
I want to add one little thing to that. I think
Please.
Emily's been received so well, and Alex as well. She's been received well because they're not out with the vendetta. They're not trying to compete and prove that they're better.
Right.
They come in with a, hey, what can I learn? I'm interested in what you're doing. And that attitude for any young person is the ticket to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, just help me. I want to learn.
Yeah, and I think as a woman, especially, like for me personally, the way I approached it was not, I don't need no man. I'm going to learn how to
Exactly.
do this. A woman can do it better. It was not like that at all. It was like, hey, I really appreciate my man. Like he teaches me stuff and he encourages me to learn. And like, that's powerful. That's so awesome for each other to be lifted up. It's not like I'm doing this because I don't need no man. It's like, no, we're all in this together.
yeah,
And we can lift each other up. And a young man deserves just as much knowledge as a young woman, and we can all work together. It's
yeah,
we're all in this together if we so choose. And I feel that way about like the women in the industry too. Like Alex and I, have come up and grown up in this industry, and we lift each other up. We call and talk about our brand deals. We call and talk about our struggles. We talk about what we're doing, and I want to help her. She wants to help me. And like, that's a really cool place to be. It's not competition. It's not, and for us, it's not showing our bodies to get, views, which, that's up to each person. But for me personally, I like to be respected because I'm working on stuff and I'm learning, not viewed because of what I'm showing.
Hey, listen, when I watched you clean and take apart the back of that Peterbilt sleeper, and I noticed that Aaron was not in there with you until the end, like you had my respect because that was a damn dirty job. That like
Another element that we haven't talked that much about is our niece on the channel. She was on the channel on episode 1 when she was 3 years old. And she is now 13. She's got her own project truck. She actually got ground school for pilot training for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
Like
That's great.
she has so many passions within all that we do.
Yeah.
Like because she homeschools, people ask her, well, what do you do for school? Well, it's really pretty neat. She's learning marketing. She's learning welding, body work. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Neat because all of this stuff for us is pretty self-taught. Like we've self-taught a lot of stuff and we make a living doing it. And then she's been alongside us the whole time, literally since she was 3. And all young people have that opportunity, even if they don't have an aunt and uncle in their lives like she does. There are people out there that would love to have a young person reach out to them and say, hey, I don't know anything about this, but I'm interested. Will you teach me? There's so much power in that and opportunity.
Yeah. No, listen, and that's a great pivot for me to turn to the last question. For our show, when we cover the military, and we really focus on the young people. And one of the things that we try to do is there are these amazing jobs that are out there, and there are people out there that are perfect for these jobs. They just don't know they exist. So part of it is just to like tell people, hey, this exists. This could be something you might be interested in. And I think it's the same thing here when you talk about your niece, who she's adorable, and it's just remarkable to, like you said, to watch that linear progression of someone who really has got the bug bitter on this thing. She is into it. You can tell 100,000%. Like I said, it comes through. And so I think it is really important to expose young people to different paths. And it's one of the challenges, I think, in this day and age. There's so much information that young people have access to, but sometimes there's things that they just don't know even exist, whether it's a trade school, whether it's, getting, going to Y-Attack or interning or,
Mhm.
you know, I got to tell you, I'm going to go to my question in a second, but like I've flown a lot of aircraft, and a lot of the ground crew, the maintainers, the pilots, they're women. And I just think it's really important for people to understand that if this is something you want, there is no barrier for you to be able to do it.
Right.
Like
Right.
truly,
Right.
that's not just like be blowing smoke. I've seen it in action. If it, you're gonna have to work, like you both have said.
Yep.
But if it's something you want, you got to really you should do it. You should try, and you
Yeah,
shouldn't.
so really our job is exposure, and then the endorsement that comes with it. If your brain works a certain way and you have a passion to be a mechanic, be a mechanic. That's a good career. Have your exit strategy. You don't want to do it when you're 80 years old, but that is honorable, and go do it. And you're right. Like if you have a passion and hard work, like I'm a high school dropout. It's like, okay, I'll go pout at that at my hangar with my airplane. Like it didn't stop us from doing what we wanted to do, because we felt like we could, so we did it.
That's exactly it. I mean, there's no one path in life. I feel like we're getting all zen here, but there really isn't. And I feel like, we've got a few years under our belt. I feel like that's an important thing to pass on to the younger generation. I will get to my last question, but I feel like that's the downside of YouTube, especially over the, maybe a couple of years ago, is that a lot of people, like I look at my kids, they'd see things on YouTube that's it's manufactured, right? Like we both post shows. Some of it's going to have to be, as we call it, movie magic, right? So, they may not see that like for us, we do something that was like 10 takes, right? And I think they're more extremes, right? There are people that they have these lifestyles that on the surface, they're living in these massive houses with all these amazing cars. It's not necessarily reality, right? What you guys do is reality. You're turning wrenches. You're actually working on something. I think that one of the dangers for young people is to look at, and I think they're more savvy now, but to look at those types of things and think that if I get XYZ car or XYZ watch, or I live this lifestyle, success will follow. And that's
right.
Success comes with work.
You're defining success, because
that's right.
Success is like, at the end of the day, we did stuff we were happy with. It's not necessarily getting the dream car or that sort of thing. And being in the world of recovery, from what we've dealt with the last few years with the alcoholism developing in Aaron, we learned so much about that really, like, this is what you have. Relationships and your own relationship with yourself and your higher power, if you so choose, like that's what it all comes down to.
Sure.
From there, you can go find the stuff that makes you happy, but it like anybody that looks at, the fancy cars, the fancy house, what are they wanting? Happiness, peace,
it's not happiness.
A sense of serenity. But that's not, like, none of that stuff's going to give you that.
I agree.
So there's a lot deeper meaning behind, like, happiness and success for us. And that's one of the things we hope that we portray, is that it's about a relationship. It's about saying, good job, you're freaking awesome. Like pumping each other up and feeling grateful for the memories made in the vehicles that we get. Not necessarily just getting something, building it and putting it on a shelf. It's like, no, memories, moments that matter with people that you love. Like it's that deeper meaning. And I think that sense of purpose is really important with young folks coming up, is like, find a sense of purpose that really feels good to you, and the work can follow. Like there's so much more to it than just like getting a good job and making a lot of money. Yeah.
I mean, it's solid advice. And as I tell my kids, like, it's just not real. So it's just not real. You got to be, I know it's hard to, I don't know. Almost anyone can sign a note for a loan to buy some or a lease for, like, believe me, I knew people way back when that would like sign 15-year leases on like Ferraris. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Great. Anyway, I don't want to devolve into that. Look, you're absolutely right. I will say one thing, Emily, though. I think you guys have your dream car. Your dream car doesn't have to be something you write a check for, right? It could be something you build.
For sure.
And
For
so,
sure.
I mean, that in a lot of ways, that's more unique than, some supercars. So, all right. So the last thing I want to turn to you guys about is for us, for Unconventional, on May 14th, I think we can officially announce this. We're going to be releasing our last video in the trifecta. So the trifecta, for anyone who doesn't know, it is the 3 Air Force bombers. It's the B-52, the B-2 stealth bomber, and the B-1 bomber. I had the unique opportunity to be the only journalist, Newsweek's the only outlet, to fly in all 3. That's like a really big deal for us. It took us,
Huge.
talk about work, it took us 3 years to do this. It's not so easy. I can say that I didn't get to actually pilot the B-52, but I did get to fly the B-2. We have the footage. I can't show it because when I landed, the Air Force called me, was like, hey, quick favor. That $20 billion jet, of which there's only 20 of, maybe don't show the footage of the non-rated pilot flying one of them. But we did get to fly the B-1, which is the one that's coming out. And we do have footage of I was able to fly that. That was just a wild experience. You talk about in a million years, never imagined that I'd be able to do it. All that hard work to kind of, again, took a couple of years. This is not, was it's a big deal for us. So my question to you is, I don't know if you guys, I know how much aviation nerds you are, with the 3 aircraft, the B-52, the B-2 stealth bomber, and the B-1, which is, God, I don't want to give away what my favorite is, but it has 4 afterburning engines and swing wings. It just looks like a hot rod. Which one? I'll start with Emily. Do you have out of those 3, is there a favorite of yours that?
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't say that I know in depth the specs or have seen we just got back from Sun and Fun where we got to see a whole bunch of military aircraft doing their exhibitions. I can honestly say I don't know, but I am.
Good answer.
So
You're not going to piss anyone off with that one.
I don't want to say because I'd be making it up. I'd be like, well, the B-52, because I know it's kick-ass, but I don't know them well enough to actually say. But I'm so freaking proud of you and stoked for that accomplishment. That is so badass.
I really appreciate that. It was I mean, it's pretty cool. Aaron, you're a pilot. Do you have a sense of?
I'm in the same boat as she is.
Okay.
We haven't done a lot of research on.
Fair enough. I know we sprung this on you, and it's a shameless plug for our upcoming episode.
No, that's awesome. I won't miss it. I'm gonna watch that.
It's really cool. I mean, listen. Again, like you say, I feel like there's a lot of luck in the world, and so a lot of this was luck. But luck is just an opportunity. It's still up to you to realize that opportunity, right? You have
to be in the place, having worked hard to have that luck fall in your lap.
Right. But once it's there, you got to put the work in to make it actually happen. Yes. So I know you guys do the same thing. So look, just to wrap this up, that's why I was so eager to have you guys on. You have such a wholesome message, and it's so authentic. I feel like there are just so many things out there where you're just like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem real, right? Again, that we're going to lose the shop type thing. It's
right.
You do stuff. It's easy to manufacture outrage and make that the clickbait. That's not what you guys do. No. So it's a really, you guys have a great combo. I can tell you guys have a really caring and loving relationship, and that comes through authentically. And and plus you have a C6 Corvette. So how can I not say?
Right.
Which is right. Well, Emily and Aaron, thanks for taking the time to talk with us. Before we break, why don't you guys say where people can find you very quickly?
Yes, we have a thunderstorm happening right outside the door. It's getting loud here. We are Flying Sparks Garage on YouTube. And then his Instagram is Pilot Reeves, Reeves. And my Instagram is I'm Emily Reeves. I'm introducing myself. I'm Emily Reeves. So those are our Instagram handles. My handle is the same on TikTok. And then Emily Reeves on Facebook and Flying Sparks Garage on Facebook. And you'll find all the goods there.
Awesome. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone who was here, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.